Good evening and welcome to this very special show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony, and my co-host, the newly double vaccinated Peter Haddock, will be joining us in just a second. But it falls to me to set the scene. And if you have any questions or comments as we go along, please post them in the comments down below and we'll do our very best to respond. Now, Bobcat is a name that is familiar to us all. If you're old like me, then you probably associate the Bobcat name with the skid steer loader, a product with which the name is synonymous. If you're maybe a bit younger, you might know Bobcat for its mini excavators and its compact track loaders. But who would have thought that Bobcat would emerge as one of the industry's true innovators? That it would use the lockdown to perfect and launch state-of-the-art technology, including remote control systems that allow machines to be controlled via a dedicated smartphone app, or that it would have hosted one of the best virtual machine launches I've seen in the past 18 months or so. And the company is not done yet. Far from it, as we're about to see. But before we get to the new stuff, let's get Peter Haddock on the show. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Mark. How are you doing today? It's sunny here. I've had the sun on my face all day. That's why I'm having to wear my red Bobcat hat, so it doesn't make my face look out of place. Red and white, probably not a good colour, to be honest, but there we go.
How was the jab?
The jab was wonderful. I had it in this arm, and it's already swollen up lovely, so but that's great. So
I actually thought you'd been working out.
Well, you know what? So did everybody else, and that was a great thing. Move to the side. But I just want to say a big thank you to NHS, everybody that helped me today, but also encourage others to take the jab. Unfortunately, a friend of mine has been taken ill after he's had his first jab with the Indian variant and is not well at all. So best wishes and thoughts are with him as well. But yes, I am now well and truly a happy man and will be back on site before we know it.
Fantastic stuff. Now, it's been a few months since you and I last shone the spotlight onto a Bobcat on this show. But I think it's really telling that we've spoken about the company a lot since. In our recent show where we were looking at the future of construction equipment, we mentioned the app and some of the advanced technology. And I think that's really down to how Bobcat has embraced technology, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Mark. And I think one of the things that I like about Bobcat, and to be honest with you, and this is no word of a lie, until we started the Bobcat adventure this last year or so, what has happened is I've only ever seen a Bobcat skid steer with a 3D machine control set up on it and thought, ooh, that's really cool for grading and stuff. Like many other people, I wasn't aware of the other products and the other innovations, and I reported on that particular Bobcat when I started my business in June 2019 at the Plant Works show in the pouring rain yet again. But then all of a sudden, Bobcat were really proactive and talked to us and got us involved in their products and also invited us along to a press launch, then jumped on a live show, and they're jumping back on tonight. Mark, we must have done something right. But the whole point is they're saying, let's build stuff for people that are used to using stuff like this iPhone, and let's make a remote control. There's an app on this iPhone, and let's make sure we can use all of the functionality to do some geofencing and all the rest of it from an iPhone or an Android. And it's not rocket science, but I understand how difficult all these things are behind the scenes. But this is a company which I've grown to know now over this last sort of 18 months that really does focus on one thing only as the core thing. That is the operator that sits in that machine or stands outside it with the remote controls and what they need to do their job better and, more importantly, safer.
You're absolutely right. Now, entertaining though you and I are, unquestionably are, nobody is tuning in to watch us two, and I'm delighted, as you've already pointed out, that we do have several key representatives from Bobcat sat in our green room, and I can see them from here, and they're chomping at the bit. So while I'm bringing them onto the stream, let's take a look at precisely the machines that they're here to talk about.
And here we are, folks. We have arrived with our lovely guest, Mark.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us this evening. My system just went very slow for a second there, which is always a worry when that happens. Let me get you, first of all, to introduce yourselves. Let's start with you, Quentin, down the bottom there. Can you introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And I'm Quentin Derwer, so I'm product manager for Bobcat. I'm in charge of the telehandlers for our construction market. And I've been a few years in the industry developing new heavy equipment. And now it's been 6 years now. I'm in Bobcat for telehandlers, and I really enjoy your show. So I'm very glad to be here tonight.
That's very nice of you to say. Let's get John. John, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, good evening, everybody. John Chataway, product manager for the loaders business currently. I've been with Bobcat something over 32 years now, and worked in multiple locations for the company, and I've crossed multiple product lines and functions, from service parts, program, project management, and right up into product management on the loaders team now. That's me.
Fantastic. And Mike, your last but by no means least, can you introduce yourself as well?
So good evening, gentlemen. So my name is Mike Vogt. I'm not quite as long with the company as John. I'm 27 years with Bobcat. I've worked around the world representing the brand, and my current responsibility is for all Bobcat products in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And it's really a pleasure to be here, gentlemen. So thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Mike. And it's handy that you're on the big screen at the moment, because the first question really is aimed at you. We've seen this expression "next is now" twice now. First back in, I think it was December, and now again. What is next is now, and what does that actually mean in practice?
Well, Mark, I think in your introduction, you referenced that Bobcat historically has been recognized as a skid steer loader company, and obviously it still remains as one of the foundational products of the brand. But really, for us, Next is Now is an opportunity for us to talk about all the great innovations and new products. As you're aware, we're expanding into new product lines. We're going to talk about that later tonight. We're refreshing a lot of our products, like the telescopics that Quentin will touch on, and then a lot of great innovations that are coming. So in practice, Next is Now is really going to be a signal that you're about to hear something new, and we will use that across all of our various social media and print advertisement platforms.
So how does the new range of telehandlers fit into that Next is Now initiative?
Well, like a lot of companies with the stage 5 regulation, we were challenged to upgrade the machine, and we took the opportunity really to go back and talk to our customers and understand what can we do beyond just meeting the regulation. And we made a lot of great new updates to the machine, especially around the operator environment and making our operators more comfortable and productive. So for us, it's really a refreshed and new product, and we're excited to tell the world about all the great things that we've done with that.
Well, I think in addition to telling people about it, why don't we take a look at the machines actually in action in a construction application, and then we'll bring the rest of the team in, and we can have a proper chat about exactly what these machines can do.
And that's certainly impressive, Mark, there, isn't it? You know, when you look at the Bobcat range, and I mean, we're demonstrating some of that power there on our hats tonight. But what does strike you about that is, you know, not only do they do the job, they just look cool as well. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a fantastic element to the whole range. And you know, I think the way in which it's been developed, I know that the team have been working really hard on that. And you know, I think it's probably worth asking, when was this development done, though, Mark? Do you know what I mean? And how has it been done throughout this difficult time? Because bringing products like this to market are not an easy task, Mark, are they?
Certainly not. But I know a man that has an answer to that. Quentin, would you like to take that one?
Sure. And that's your question is very good, because you know, in Bobcat we have a lot of process to design new products, to develop it, to qualify, to interview customers, to marketing, everything, you know. But what we didn't have is a process for COVID. When we have a sudden lockdown, it was one of my memory I have. If we were just testing with customers this new joystick you saw in the video, you know, it's a really, it sounds easy, but we spend quite a lot of time, you know, to make operators test and tell us what is the right position of the switch, what is the right function they want, what the right handle shape for the comfort. And suddenly we had to stop the test. Why? Because we were receiving information that we have to be locked for a month at least in France, and we were very frustrated because we were not able to finish a job. So that was this first lockdown in France was for me one of my souvenir that I will keep in mind for a long time, definitely. To answer your question about the development, it's not a few days development, as you can imagine. If I recall correctly, we started the program around mid-2018, so almost 3 years now. And you have to keep in mind, it's one product, one range, one R series telehandler, but part of this program is a lot of strategic sub-programs. And for instance, the cabin itself is a specific program. The new engine, I mean, the upgrade of the D34 engine is a specific program. The new LCD display, you know, that gives this very good visibility and so on, is also a unique program by itself. We have some engineers in US that spent almost, I would say, 1 year and a half to develop this new display. And the joystick itself was a specific program. So yeah, that was a huge amount of time spent to develop all of that. Big challenges, especially when you have to lock the factory for a month. When you have to stop everything from one day to another, and when you have a firm date to respect, and you have to catch up the plan, you cannot be late, definitely not. And what comes to my mind also is we would not be able to do such a challenging development without the help of the customers, and they were very nice guys we interviewed, and they came to the factory, test our product, and we were able to have them as the last minute to come due to the COVID. We had to do it in the right slot of time. It was amazing, the support of the customers.
Yeah, I think a key focus in the construction equipment market at the moment is emissions reduction. Obviously, we are now talking about stage 5 compliant engines. How did you and how did Bobcat go about achieving that compliance on these machines?
Well, yeah, stage 5 is was a challenge, yes, definitely. But about emission level, it was one of the hot topic. We spent a lot of time, to it's designed. So the engine is made by the group. It's qualified. They own the technology. We work with suppliers to integrate, the DPF technology. Also, they worked a lot on improving the injection so that we can lower the emissions. But it's not only about engine emissions, because our customers, they care about emissions, definitely, but they care also about the price they pay for this engine. Also, they care about how it's easy to own a machine with such an engine, easy to maintain, for instance. And also, a construction telehandler customer, he wants basically a certain serenity. He doesn't want to hear too much about the engine. He just wants the machine does his job. And so one of the challenge also we had to work on is really to make the engine transparent and autonomous. DPF, a diesel particle filter, is a technology which is well known in the industry. But in the past, a decade ago, I remember when I was working for heavy equipment, DPF was something giving some fear to customers. But now the technology has changed a lot. We improved a lot, and now it's really something which is well known and recognized in the industry. And so our job was not only to lower the emission and to integrate a DPF. Our job was to make this technology as transparent for the customer as possible, because an operator in a telehandler, he just wants to worry about his job and his safety. That's all. After, if the machine has to regenerate or not, it's not his job. It's not his competency. That's my job as Bobcat manufacturer, to ensure that my machine will handle this type of technologies and regeneration and all of that in an automatic way and without any impact on the performance of the machine. That's really important. So
it's such an interesting take on the design of machines, and it's a strange analogy to draw, but I read a quote recently from the Italian football defender Paolo Maldini, sadly retired now, and the quote was, if he had to tackle somebody, he hadn't done his job properly. And that is precisely what Bobcat is doing. If an operator has to worry about DPF and regeneration and all that, you guys haven't done your job properly, and quite clearly you have done your job properly.
The other thing is, Mark, when we're talking about things like the management of fuel and things like that, Quentin, obviously we've got a big thing in the UK. We've got a big problem coming up with the red diesel to white diesel, and there's a lot more people now looking at HVO fuels. as well. So, I'm assuming throughout the phases of what you've been doing with your testing and with your engines is actually using those fuels as well. And the same principles are there, isn't they? No matter what type of fuel and what version of a HVO, for example, that you use.
Yeah, that was a challenge because the fuel, we have many different types of fuels. You mentioned quite a lot of it, but also we have different quality of fuels all over the world. And, we are producing machines not only for Europe, but also for Middle East, for Africa, for Russia, for different countries where the type and the quality of fuels are very different. And so it was one of the challenge also is to ensure the perfect reliability of the engine, whatever the quality of the fuel. And, it's, we spent quite a lot of time to make some tests, endurance tests in different conditions. Also, our machines are not tested only, in a nice laboratory, 20 degree, no humidity. No, we are testing our machines, sometimes in mountains above 2,000 meters altitude. We can test the machine up to under, if I recall correctly, minus 20 degree in a cold chamber to really simulate very cold weather. So, and all of that has to be done in a way to ensure a perfect reliability, whatever the quality or the type of the fuel. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's sorry, Peter, you carry on.
Yeah, that's a really good point, I think, on the fuel, because we're looking at all these elements. And what you're saying there as well is, obviously people understand that stage 5 engines, it's incremental gain now because we've had all the different stages, but you can gain a little bit from the engines. But equally, to gain that little bit, the componentries like the fuel injectors and things like that have got to work, and they're finer, they're more engineered. So, when you've got these different types of fuel and contaminants and things like that, it can be a problem. And that's reassuring that you've tested it in those kind of real world applications.
Yeah, definitely. And what you say, Peter, is true. Reliability is an important topic, definitely. But also, what about the maintenance when you have to maintain your engine? So you have to ensure low emission, you have to ensure extreme reliability, whatever the conditions and the fuel quality. But also you have to maintain the cost and you have to maintain the easy service of the engine. And the fact that we are using Bobcat engine on a Bobcat machine for us is a nice combination because we own the design. Our customers don't have to fear about some warranty issues between the engine manufacturer and the machine manufacturer. So that's a constant care that we have to handle on engine. Yeah, definitely.
I think the other thing is what you've seen in that design, and I think it was quite, just by the turn of someone's head to the right, was in fact that you've got a complex stage 5 engine in there, but now you've got that ability to create 15%, I think, if I'm thinking right, better visibility from the actual overall machine with a high-end actual engine in it, which is quite a feat, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. And that was the reason to go for our own engine is as a compact equipment manufacturer, we need compact engines. And so that was a way for us to ensure a very compact package. And it's not only the engine, that the filters around, some components around, you need the after treatment system around. And so we had to worry about how to locate each component at the right place so that our engine is still easy to maintain. So I give you an example. We moved the battery on the front so that it can happen, during cold season that your battery is done. Then it's easy to plug and to charge your battery from the front of the engine compartment. Also, for instance, the starter, it's something that it can happen that the starter is broken. So to service it, it's very easy because it's highly accessible from the front. So it's a lot of time we spend to really think about not only the operation of the machine, but also the whole lifetime of the machine, from buying to recycling, and in the intermediate step, we have, of course, maintaining and servicing, definitely.
And I think when I'm going to stick, Quentin, if you don't mind, on visibility, because, the biggest thing in the UK marketplace, we are building a lot of houses at the moment, an awful lot of houses. They're everywhere at the moment. Now, one of the key things that I've seen in the videos and that I've seen in the report from the customers as well is the way in which you've incorporated more glass within the actual body and the frame of the actual telehandler. Because let's be honest, the whole nature of a telehandler is that you're looking up. So having that better visibility is equally important from that perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The visibility is one of the most important criteria, needs of an operator. Machines are used on tight job sites with a lot of people around, with a lot of loads, goods, everything. So visibility for any telehandler is a challenge, whatever the size, by the way. Even a compact telehandler, you need to work on the visibility to ensure safety. For instance, we improved a lot what we call the FOPS grid, because as you said, when you lift a load at height, if you are having a grid which reduces a lot your visibility, that's not good. And so we improved a lot I think we increased by something like, if I recall correctly, between 20 to 30%. We reduced, let's say, the hidden surfaces by 20 to 30% on this FOPS grid. Also, you spoke about you spoke about these engine compartments. So we have this, the engine hood is designed in a way to have a very good visibility on the right side. And last but not least, I'm thinking about also the rear camera. It's a function that we can easily fit on a machine because it's integrated in the display. So rear camera is well known in the industry, true. But the fact that we use the same display for the machine and the rear camera, it allows to have a very cost-effective solution. And so somewhere it's a way to democratize this type of safety features that allow a better visibility all around the machine.
And I like that way that you say democratize there, because what I always have been frustrated about over the years is what I call cab clutter. So you've got a screen that you've put in as a manufacturer. Then you've got another screen that's bolted on or stuck on or put to the side of it because you've got a camera system that is a third-party thing that goes into there. So it's lovely to see that sort of fluid, what I call almost Zen space that you've got there with the control systems to the right and the joystick controls. And when we look at the Czech customer that you had in your launch, that was one of the key things that they mentioned. It was like, I got into this machine, the naturalness of the buttons on the right-hand side was there, the joystick was there, the space was there, and it felt like anybody could jump into it. Obviously, we don't want anybody to jump into it because you've got to actually have the lights, of course. But really, that's important that somebody can feel at home in the machine without ever setting foot in it before. And so that was a real highlight. So that kind of brings us on to the question is, are these factors the key ones that you think are going to get you at a competitive advantage in what is really a mature market with a lot of players in it? So in your opinion, what is that kind of ultimate done that,
It's very interesting what you just said, and I would like to take the opportunity to speak about that. It's about you said somewhere any operator should be able to handle a telehandler, and that's really the philosophy we use, because Bobcat DNA is in the DNA, we have the ease of use philosophy. You know, in Bobcat, we have a promise which say we empower operators to save time, effort, and money in the toughest condition, in the tightest situations. When customers have the wheel, we provide the way. And that's typically what you just said. We are putting a lot of efforts to ease the job of operators. And this is part of our philosophy, whatever the type of machines that we designed, whatever, if it's a loader, a compact wheel loader, a small articulated loader, or rotary cylinder, whatever, we have to apply this philosophy of extreme ease of use. And what comes to my mind in terms of example is definitely the fact that we used, you know, we call it human-machine interfaces. And we used interfaces which are from the automotive industry. Why? Not only for the nice appearance of the controls, but also because we all have a car. And cars, even if they have been manufactured for a century now, they are still using similar controls, like, you know, these what we call commodos, the levers. And typically, we were using automotive-style levers so that the operator is very intuitively is automatically familiar with the controls. Very easily, he will understand that on the left-hand lever, he will have the horn and he will have the light controls. And he will very easily understand that on the right-hand levers, he have everything which is about whippers. You see, it's highly intuitive. So that's one example that how we are able to differentiate ourselves with the extreme user-friendly approach that we apply. Another example we can mention is maybe, for instance, the display. You know, the display, for instance, we are not just using a display because the trend is for LCD display. We are using a display because display we can fine-tune very easily which information is required to the operator and which ones we have to keep a secret somewhere. Because operators, you know, they are from various, levels of expertise in operating a telehandler, various, jobs. And so it has to be intuitive, easy to understand. And so that's why we really spent a lot of time to only show important information at the right moment to the operator. But, you know, to differentiate ourselves, Peter, we have many things to say. I give you another example. We are one of the manufacturers that promote hydrostatic transmission. Hydrostatic transmission, that's part of our DNA because that's the best transmission ever for handling equipment. It's very smooth, very precise, and highly intuitive. You don't have any gear to change and so on. So this is definitely something that differentiates us versus the players, the famous players in UK, for instance. Another example is that differentiate ourselves. You know, we are saying Bobcat is one tough animal. And toughness is definitely part of the philosophy. And for instance, we apply on the telehandlers what we call the shielded design. Shielded design, why? Because we ensure that all critical components like a cylinder, hydraulic pipes, electronic components are always protected by steel, either from inside the boom, either inside the frame or the chassis. But always we try to protect the vital component because it's always you can protect it from the shocks, from the sun, from the dust. And so on. So it's really shielded design is our philosophy, and that's why we are one of the only manufacturers to apply, for instance, a full bottom steel plate under the chassis to protect from shocks. That's something that is unique on the market. And one last point, which is important, Bobcat DNA is also agility. We are agile animal, the Bobcat. And it's even more important for telehandlers because construction operators on a job site, for instance, he will be happy to handle a load, for instance, a suspended load, like a carpenter would place a wood frame on top of a house, and he would like to lift this load very high, but at the same time still continue to move. And one of our differentiation is really the way, with our experience, we were able to balance the weight of the machine and so to obtain a very natural stability. Natural because you don't need always to have stabilizers to be stable. That's really something we differentiate ourselves. If you compare load chart versus competitors, we are always having a better stability without stabilizers required. And it's due to the fact that we have a long wheelbase, we have always heavy counterweight, and one thing also, the bottom steel plate I mentioned before, it's not only to protect the chassis, we have it's to increase the rigidity of the frame, definitely, but it's also to lower the center of gravity of the machine. And the lower the center of gravity of the machine is, the better the stability will be. And that's really something that is different from most of the manufacturers on the market. That's what comes to my mind now, Peter.
Well, I tell you what, I think you've ticked every single box there, but there's one which I can think of that you haven't done that I liked, and that is actually the slight tilt movement function, that allows you to just go a little bit to the side. And so
yes.
So that for me is really cool because you're going and it's I've just got to go a little bit to the side. So then you haven't got to retract it all again, but you can just nudge it along without with the stabilizers on for that one, and it works well. But the one thing I will ask you and I haven't really seen this, is obviously I got very excited about the iPhone remote control. So do we have a remote control? Do we have dedicated apps? Do we have the telehandlers specific thing? And I think the other thing to mention when you mention all that counterweight stuff, in the UK, there's not a week goes by where there's not a telehandler been tipped on its side or done something, because of operator or error or the lift capacity. So it's good to know that stability is there. But come on, anyway, back to the really cool stuff, the techie stuff that I like. So I can just go and get out of that telehandler completely and sit in the deck chair with the sun today and remove all of the bricks from the job site.
Yeah, well, actually, yes and no. Yes, it's funny your question because we are offering a remote control on Bobcat telehandlers. I think since 2013 or 2014. At the time, we redesigned the MAT platform, and we introduced a remote control which allow you to operate the movement at distance. Okay, it's a bit something that you more traditionally see on the rotary telehandlers, but we are one of the only manufacturers that allow it also on the rigid telehandler. And the idea is that you take your remote control, you can be at 50 meters from the machine, you can be positioned where you want to place the load very precisely, and you have a much better visibility. And that's one of the so yes, we are offering remote control on telehandler, but only to operate the boom movement, because as you say, and I think it's even more true in UK, safety is, we have a lot of regulations around handling equipments. And, when you lift, you are able to lift a 2.5 ton load at 18 meters, stability is a hot topic. So if your question is more about when we will be able to operate fully, completely a telehandler, meaning not only the boom movement, but also the movement of the machine. To be honest, we are not yet there. We are working on some solutions, as you heard about during the Next Is No event. We have this remote control operation of a loader, for instance. But when it comes for equipments that can elevate a load up to 4 tons at height, we are not yet there that the customers will be ready to play such a machine, from an iPhone. But we are moving definitely. The industry moving to that. Bobcat is being ready more and more to this type of technology. I think the trend is operators are not really ready for such remote operations, but we are more working on what we call smart functions. Smart function is how the machine can be smart enough to help the operator to safely place a load, safely move the machine, and that's where we are having quite a lot of ideas. I give you one example that we introduced in the R series. We introduced what we call the flex drive. Flex drive is basically a way for the operator to disconnect, let's say, the flow delivered to the attachments. For instance, let's imagine the operator is using a sweeper, so you need a lot of flow on the auxiliary line. And so the operator will be able to adjust the engine idle at the right level to operate the sweeper. But when other manufacturers, they connect engine RPM directly to the machine travel speed, on Bobcat, we developed a technology that allows to split the engine RPM from the travel speed. So that when you are using a sweeper, you don't want to go fast. You want to go slow to sweep correctly, And so with this flex drive, the travel speed is fully disconnected from the engine RPM. It's only connected to the pedal, and so that the operator can more easily operate his sweeper on his job site without being afraid to move too fast. So this is this type of functions, I think, where our customers are ready. But it's always to ease the job. It's never to increase the complexity of the operation. That's really important.
Well, Quentin, I'm going to say to you now, next is now, because we're going to have a break, you and we're going to hand over to the Next Is Now champions, Mark and John, for the next bit of the show. Did you see how I did that?
I did, but I think you were a bit previous. There are 2 questions that I had burning on the tip of my tongue. First one, Quentin, was when we saw the previous Next Is Now, one of the things that really stood out for me was this ability to unlock additional functionality that had been built into the app. Is that something that we could see in the telescopic handlers? And the second question, which I can't believe we've got this far in and not addressed it, how many models are in the R series of telehandlers, and what are their sizes?
Okay, so the first question about how do we call it? We call it, this ability to unlock some options. Yes, we are active on that. We are working on that. We announced that at the Next Is Now event, and for sure, there is no reason not to apply on a telehandler. We are, on the test phase in US. It's not because you develop something that it will work in every market, every countries. So we are first testing on some specific market and specific products, and then we will probably open more and more to different countries and different product lines. So yes, we are on it. It's not for today, but I'm sure at a point we will arrive to this type of function on telehandlers. And the second question was about the range. The range.
Yes.
If we speak about construction, because I think your audience is more about construction, we have in total 12 different models. So basically, we are able to cover most of the needs on construction market, because it starts from 6 meters with very compact machines, which is important when you are on urban areas, for instance. And we go up to 18 meters for very extreme lift height when you are working on commercial buildings, for instance. And in between, we have what we call the medium range, which is the good balance of compactness and lift height and capacity, of course. So we start in terms of capacity. For instance, the compact range will go from 2.6 ton and up to 3 ton. The medium range will go from 3.5 to 3.6 ton, if I recall correctly. And then the high lift range, which starts from 13 meter to 18, we will go from 3.5 to 4.1 ton. So you see, we have quite a wide diversity of models that can suit any construction needs.
That's fantastic. Well, as Peter said,
and sorry, I forgot, Mark, to mention lift height capacity is important for sure, but also what's important is that some customers they really like the 75 horsepower engine because it's cost-effective solution and you have no AdBlue. So, for instance, plant hires, and I think in UK it's quite popular, 75 horsepower. And there are some customers more traditional which would like to have further traction, and they will go for the 100 horsepower because they don't have any issue with AdBlue. It's part of the industry, so they will go for the 100 horsepower. So we offer both engine size to really match every customer needs.
That's fantastic. Well, as Peter said, it's time for you to take a rest. We have talked a lot about telescopic handlers, but the Next Is Now initiative has also impacted Bobcat's small articulated loader and compact wheel loader ranges as well. We're going to take a look at a video, and I'll tell you in advance, everyone that's watching and everyone that's actually in the studio here, this video is about 4 minutes long. So if you need a comfort break or a quick slurp of a drink, now would be the perfect time to do that. Let's roll the film and come back straight afterwards.
Hello everyone, let me introduce you to our new range of Bobcat small articulated loaders, where the traditional Bobcat attributes of high performance in a compact size, agility and versatility are complemented by the light touch on the ground and increased lifting capability for lower weight machines. We are entering the market with 2 new models, the smaller and lighter L23 and the larger L28 with a telescopic boom. Despite their compact size, you will be impressed by the lift capabilities. The L23 has a tipping load of 1,265 kilograms and the L28 is 1,392 kilograms. You can also increase this lift capacity with additional counterweights for specific applications. Small articulated loaders make ideal companions for many different applications, where you need to move heavy loads in safety and comfort. Like helping a landscaping team to handle material in compact construction zones, or feeding and caring for animals on the farm. We've designed the machine with a low center of gravity for maximum stability. And this stability is maintained during operation due to the rear articulation design. That helps to counterbalance the load. With the L28 telescopic lift arm, you gain an additional lift height to reach over 2.6 meters, and our dual cylinder design helps to keep the load level, preventing material spillage. The machines are equipped with the industry standard and proven Bobcat attachment coupler, allowing you to use the wide portfolio of attachments Bobcat is known for, including approved attachments you might already have on your Bobcat skid steer and compact track loader. If you are changing the attachments often, the optional Power Bobtach comes in handy as it reduces the effort needed when changing between multiple attachments. The tight turning radius needed for working in compact areas uses a rear articulation design that allows the rear wheels to follow the path of the front wheels. This design and the light machine footprint minimizes the impact to the ground when working on any worksite. The low ground disturbance is further enhanced by the 2 traction modes. There is a high traction when needed in tough conditions such as snow removal, or a turf mode to reduce wheel slipping and ground disturbance where that light touch is required. The lightweight of the Bobcat small articulated loaders makes transporting them easy by small truck and trailer and means they are light and easy to operate. The controls are designed to be easy to learn and use for all levels of operating ability. The steering wheel and lift arm control lever come easily to hand and are very familiar ways to control the machine. Push buttons on the lever allow fingertip controls of the attachments. The drive system uses separate pedals to control the forward and reverse directions, and all the controls are light to the touch, requiring little physical effort for ease of operation. Machines can be ordered with either an open ROPS FOPS canopy or a fully enclosed and heated cabin, allowing you to work in all seasons and conditions. The full cab has removable window panels, allowing a flexible approach to the seasons. Additionally, the full cab has both defrost vents and opening side windows to help manage a very comfortable operator environment. Bobcat's cab and canopy design for the small articulated loaders uses our industry experience to engineer space where needed. For example, the floor area has a large amount of space for the feet, and there is extra space around the steering wheel for the hands. Understanding that you may need to hop on and hop off the machine regularly, we ensured an easy entry and exit point. The machine offers 360-degree visibility to help get the most out of the multiple attachments, or just ease the operator work when working in tight spaces, adding up to improved productivity all around. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Bobcat's new small articulated loader, our lightweight big lifter.
I'm back, and I thought I'd confuse you all because I'm wearing another hat.
I thought I pressed the wrong button for a second there.
Oh, don't worry, Mark. That just reinvigorates the headgear, to be honest with you. The other one's getting a little bit hot here in the summertime in the UK. The one day we get of summertime in the UK. What a great scene. Sorry, folks. I just stole that moment for my own personal benefit. So, Mark, this one is over to you. Small articulated machines.
I'm reading the blurb before we came online today. Apparently, Bobcat now has the industry's broadest loader range, which I think is a fascinating development. So, John, what was the thinking behind the small articulated loaders?
Well, Mark, let me say one thing before I start. I'm going to upset Peter a little bit because this is more on the simplistic side of our machines than the high-tech stuff that he's been talking about this evening. So it's a bit more simpler, mainly because they don't let me handle anything too complex these days, but that's another story. So the thinking behind it, it's not the first time we've been looking at this type of product. In fact, we've dipped our toes in and out for some time. We had OEM relationships and stuff like that. So, but there's never just one thing. What we were looking at was to be able to have a complementary product that had this, you've heard Quentin talk about the Bobcat DNA. And so our research took us in many directions, looking at the different versions of articulated, the front articulation, rear articulation, all-wheel steer types of machines and things like that. Because we had to look at something which we wanted to be quite easy to drive, was very stable and very safe. And this was the type of product that came to us to fill that gap. The other point about it was that our distribution channels, they were looking for something in that area as well, because the business in loaders is ever expanding. And we can't be everything to everybody with just the skid steers and the compact track loaders. So it was a natural progression. And then the final piece which came together was that the product started to gain some traction in North America. And of course, we don't have endless resources to allocate to the project. So within the European basin, we didn't have a lot of resources available. So when we teamed up with North America and they wanted to be able to have this type of product as well, it was the ideal time to start development and enter the market.
No, absolutely. For obvious reasons, we haven't had the privilege of seeing these machines in the flesh as yet. But just looking at that video and reading through some of the literature, it seems there's been a real focus on ease of operation, which I think you just alluded to. How did that manifest itself? What was the process of sitting down and saying, okay, these need to be as simple to operate as possible?
It's mainly the markets that we think we'll be operating in. When we look around us at the smaller companies which are starting to come to life with young people buying equipment and starting their business. Often you talk to them and they talk about this lack of operators that we have in the environment, not just construction, but around us as well. So we wanted to have machines which were relatively easy for people to use, not saying that anybody jumps on and off them, but it allows people to be trained very quickly and easily to have a machine which can be used on a construction site or landscaping jobs for multiple purposes. And that's what we found when we looked around, that these machines, they're not used for 8 hours per day. People do hop on and hop off them, and they needed to be easy to do that, and then intuitive to be able to drive. So very, very easy in terms of the controls. So we just use 2 foot pedals, forward and reverse. There's the classic steering wheel, of course, and a joystick control. So everything's very easy to hand. And then if you look at the expanded market from that, which is also part of where we get to with some of our construction dealers into agriculture as well, again, the same thing applies. You know, you need it to be nice and easy to learn how to drive and operate for the multiple users that you have in those locations.
Oh, excuse me. I made this mistake with Quentin, and we got all the way through talking about the telehandlers before we actually found out how big the range was. So before we go any further, let's draw a circle around the compact wheel loaders and the small articulated loaders. What is the range? How big a range is it?
It's just 2 machines. We've started starting small articulated, small range. We've decided to enter with just 2 machines and keep this simplistic approach. They're very, very similar. One has a fixed boom and the other has a telescopic boom. And there's some differences in the tire options that we offer to give the various widths that are classical in that industry, which are needed to go in the tight spaces. So just 2 machines. They're using the same engine. Another piece of this simplistic approach is it's stage 5 compliant, but it's less than 25 horsepower, so it's still mechanical injection. And so same engine in both machines, just the 2 for now.
Now, one of the key elements, I think, in the versatility of Bobcat skid steer loaders has been your use of quick couplers. I mean, I think the Bobcat system was probably way ahead of its time, in truth. Will the same apply on the small articulated loaders and the compact wheel loaders as well?
Yes, Mark, absolutely. Even more so, in fact, for the small articulated loaders, because we offer 2 types of Bobcat on the classic skid steer loaders and the mini track loaders. We have a small style, which is limited to a certain size of bucket and attachments. And we have the standard size, which is from our sort of mid-range and small frame loaders only. On the small articulated loaders, they've come up with a nice fancy dual type of Bobcat, which allows our customers to use the attachments from both their smaller range, so S70 and our MTL machines, which is our smallest machines. You often see those in demolition arenas. And then also from our mid-range machines, S450s and 500s and so forth, they're able to use those attachments as well. So very much so part of the cell philosophy. That's that Bobcat DNA. And on the compact wheel loader, it's not my product line, so I know a few things about it. One of them is it's typically coming from the factory base is a quick touch option, which is more used in that type of environment that the machine will be used in. But there is a nice, neat adapter, Bobcat adapter, which allows everybody then to be able to use whatever skid steer or compact track loader attachments that they would already have. And of course, the same connections which are available for the hydraulics and also for our 7-pin connectors are available on the CWL.
Professional cynic about to speak now. Is there not a danger that the small articulated loaders will actually compete with your traditional skid steer models?
Of course, yeah, without question. I mean, and we're aware of that, and our distributors are aware of that. But the skid steer loader market and the compact track loader market, we're driving that very much so now. You know, we spend a lot of time putting our stage 5 engines in those smaller machines to make them more acceptable in all of the markets. And the cannibalization, it will come in a few areas, we think, in around sort of agriculture, some landscaping. But these are areas that we suspect that it will be. So where somebody needs a slightly easier to use machine, doesn't take so much training to become skillfully operated on the machine. And also it's a little bit lighter for some people, you know, that don't operate it very often. So, and that's fine. I mean, we're driving the skid steer loader market, CTL market. We're expanding it in some other areas as well with the new technologies you've seen. So yeah, we're giving up a little bit, but we're going to gain a great deal more from this.
That's fantastic. Mike, you've been very quiet all evening, and I do apologise for keeping you sat in the corner, but it's now your time to shine. One of the questions I guess is, obviously, you've got a very enviable global dealer network, and they're quite used to dealing with your skid steers and your mini excavators and your telescopic handlers, but you've now got new wheel loaders, the small articulated loaders and the compact wheel loaders. How are you going about bringing those guys up to speed, both to sell them and perhaps more importantly to our viewership, to actually support them as well?
Well, Mark, I think one of the advantages that we have when we develop this product internally is that we're able to leverage a lot of the technology and, as Quentin mentioned, the Bobcat DNA across all of our products. So from a dealer perspective, even though maybe the concept of the machine is different or the configuration, many of the subsystems, the controls, how they interact with the machine from a service perspective are common across all of our products. So, just from the foundation of the design, they already have a good advantage. And then on top of that, we have a world-class facility in the Czech Republic that develops all of our training material. Obviously, during non-COVID times, we do a lot of in-person training, but these days that organization is moving everything much more to an online environment to support our dealers. And then, of course, we have our aftermarket organization and the field staff that supports our dealers. So we're confident that even though the products are new, because of the design familiarity and the strength of the support we give, and also the quality of our dealers and business partners, that the customers will really have a seamless experience owning this new equipment.
This one's a bit of a broader question, I guess, and it's something that struck me probably going back as far as the last Bauma, is the fact that Bobcat seems to be enjoying something of a renaissance. I've been aware of Bobcat for forever. I've been doing this job for 30 plus years. Bobcat's been around for as long as I have. And yet over the last 4 or 5 years, it's like it's stepped it up a notch. With new products, and Peter's mentioned it. The branding has come on leaps and bounds, and just the harnessing of technology. Was that a conscious decision? Was there a meeting somewhere around about 5 years ago where everyone said, "It's time to switch things up, guys"?
Well, we'd like to think so, Mark, that we did a little planning and thought about this. You guys talked about the styling a lot. We spend a lot of effort with all of our products focused on industrial design and making sure that the styling is very consistent across all the product lines, because that emotional connection to the product, as well as trying to transmit that feeling of an agile, tough product, is really important to connect the user's experience with the product to our brand. So I think, as you've seen across all of our product, we have very consistent look and feel to the machines. And then, also I think just as an organization, we've decided that within the compact business, as I mentioned before, we want to be known for much more than just being a skid steer loader company. We really want to be known as the #1 solution for compact equipment globally. And, we've been working hard to deliver that over the last 4 or 5 years, Mark.
Mark, what's interesting is that when you actually had your press conference there, Mike, they've done something, Mark, because they've doubled production in 5 years as well. So it was like, whoa, in that 5 years, yes, comes on leaps and bounds. We've seen more of them. There's a reason for that, because they've doubled production, because people are wanting to have more of the machines. So it is testament to what is going on in the business there. And I've got one more question, Mark. One more question for Mike. Can you guess what it might be about?
I'm sure about some technology, Peter. So bring it on.
Okay, right. So we have seen, Mike, lots of technology and lots of different things. But what I've also been concentrating on is, like we started this talking about fuel. So there's HVO, there's, of course, electric, and there's hydrogen. And so, you know, a lot of those things are being talked about, hydrogen and the larger stuff, really. But electrification is being talked about a lot. And today, could you believe it, of all days, today, the Birmingham, the city that's closest to me, has launched its low emission zone today. And so, therefore, machines with high emissions won't be able to work in that zone in the future. So the next... Is it going to be the next is electrifying now, or are we going to be seeing something like that coming? Not to give away too much, Mike.
Well, you know, Peter, we're not too shy about talking about our electric vehicles. As you know, we had our 1-ton mini excavator at Bauma, and that product is now commercially available. So please see your local Bobcat dealer and place your orders. We're shipping that machine. And listen, it's no secret, regulation, as you rightly identified, is coming, and we have to be ready for that. So you can certainly expect that there will be an expansion in the product lines. And, you know, one of the great things about electric machines, Peter, is it lends itself a lot to some of this technology that we've showcased already, like with the iPhone application and things like that, because you have digital electronic environments. So it, you know, I think parallels nicely with a lot of the activities we have in place, and there's many more exciting things to come from Bobcat.
That was a well-crafted answer, Mike. That was well. One, you've sold 3 electric excavators because they're in high demand at the moment. If you've got a factory churning out double the amount of equipment at the moment, that's certainly needed at the moment. And I think, you know, what's really important is to know that that next is now journey, that roadmap is continuing at pace and also, you know, following the right pathway, in my opinion, to the way in which, you know, we need to look at how we work with our environment and how we work with our equipment. And to come back to what Quentin said earlier, it's about, there's 2 or 3 things there. One, it's having the right tools for the job that can do the job, that can be maintained properly, that do work, that are not faddy, and that are not sort of like design, industrial design for design's sake. You've designed for automation, for industrialization, and so therefore people are used to seeing a lot of these functionalities when they get into a machine, in and out of a machine. But, you know, the one thing that did strike me before we actually got onto this conversation, folks, is John's comment about wellies. John's comment about wellies, folks, was the fact of what I think is crucial to an operator. There's an operator John went onto site with who had some very, very big wellies, John, but he loved the machine. Why was that?
That was foot space, or cab space in general, but foot space on our mini excavators. He absolutely adored, and he forced me to take a picture of these huge Wellingtons. I mean, I could have got in, you know, just one of them, and that was amazing. And yeah, it was floor space, and we're very mindful of that. And that's where you pick up that information, is only by talking to those people on those sites, difficult conditions, talk to them and get that feedback and put it back into your design. And that's part of this Bobcat process. We love it.
Yeah. Peter, if you want, I could comment as well on that.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're here for.
I forgot to mention that in the development process, I did a count, and we have 5 steps in the development process to involve customers. That's amazing. The first one is we are having numerous customer visits, and we build what we call the customer value curve. It's a curve showing what matters most for the customer and prioritize them. And then it's the first step. Second, it allows us to design, to scope, let's say, the program. Then second step, we ensure that the customer approve the design concept that we are showing to them. And the third step is when we have the first prototype, we have them to qualify this first prototype. And the fourth step is for the second step prototype. And the fifth step is when we have the first unit being produced, we have the final look, and everything has to be perfect. And that's the customers who will give the green light for massive production then. So you see, customers is really a part of Bobcat process, is part of Bobcat philosophy. And that's why I wanted to add, because it was a nice comment from John about that.
No, absolutely. So does that mean, guys, that when we have more electrics, I can just be the customer that text messages the factory and says, go with production? That would be cool.
Depends what you buy. People.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have to sit in a test one first, wouldn't I? Because I'd have to approve that first. So that's fine. I can do that. Because we're on a road trip, apparently, according to our construction collective colleague, Nick Drew.
Yeah, I'll throw that back up on the screen.
We are on a road trip, gentlemen, to come and see you, apparently. He's providing the fuel and the vehicle, so that's fine.
Just one question that we have overlooked, and we've had people watching here from literally right across Europe and possibly beyond as well. But there's been some changes to the UK dealer network as well, gentlemen, hasn't there? And I mean, certainly the dealer that's closest to mine has really, much as Bobcat has really stepped things up as well, haven't they?
So I guess, yeah, I can take that question, Mark. So, yeah, I mean, I think, we're always certainly evaluating our dealer network. I think you're talking specifically probably about our dealer in London. Versatile's doing a great job representing the brand. I think you're seeing them make a lot of noise around the area and a lot of social media and all the things that you need to do to be successful. So, the dealer channel in the UK is a great network for us. They're very strong, and we really rely on them to represent the brand.
That's fantastic. Peter, do you have any final comments or questions?
What I'd like to say to the guys is, there's been an awful lot of detail there. First of all, Bobcat has come on our live journey with us, Mark. And I think you go back to what Mike has just said there. I know Versatile. I've known them for many years. A great company, do things in the right way. And it's great that they've chosen, because they probably did have the choices as a premium dealer, to go with Bobcat, because that's what they feel is best for their business. But equally, what you've just said, Mike, is you've embraced the whole new world that we're all sitting in and we're all doing right now. And you have been, one of the companies that's really supported us in our journey to tell the story. And the fact that you're on here tonight is testament to that. So I just want to say big thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep up the hard work, keep the customer involved, and remember, never let me inside the cab because I can't operate, but do let me onto the remote control through my phone. So at least I'm at a safe distance when things go wrong.
I want to be at a safe distance when that happens as well.
But you're very welcome, guys. It was a pleasure to join you for this tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, the one thing I will add to what Peter has just said, Peter and I came back from ConExpo and went straight into lockdown, and that's where we stayed for about a year. So between us, we've clocked up dozens and dozens and dozens of these virtual launches, which have varied between the good, the bad, and my God, that's ugly. But I have to say that over the last year, the Bobcat one has been one of the pick of the bunch. And I'm not just saying this because we have a Bobcat audience. It's the one that we've probably talked about most because of the amount of technology that was on display and just the very fact that you embrace the technology to deliver the machines and the productivity that everyone needs, but you'd also embrace the technology to tell us about it as well. I think that's testament to the way that Bobcat is working at the moment. So, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope this is the first of many. But in the meantime, I'm going to let you get back to your evenings because I'm sure you've got better things to do.
Not forgetting, Mark, they sent us some really cool caps.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
Thank you all. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
Many thanks indeed, guys. I'm going to take you out of the stream one by one, but really appreciate your time. And then there were two.
There we go, Mike. Wow, that was enjoyable. I like that. Whoa, when you get people that really know their products and they actually come on and they just talk so passionately about the products that it's like makes our job super easy. Apart from the fact that we didn't ask the right questions at the start to say what's in the range. But anyhow, we've only done a few of these.
Yeah, I was going to say I've only been writing about construction equipment for 32 years. These things do tend to slip my mind.
The press release.
Wow. No, as I say, I'd like to thank the guys at Bobcat for giving up their time tonight. I'd also like to thank my old sparring partner, Mike Isherwood, who does the PR for Bobcat, does it extremely well and has been doing it basically forever. And obviously, I want to thank Peter, my co-host, for keeping the show on track, for bringing his usual trademark insight and enthusiasm, and for not mentioning the fact that my stream dropped out for a minute or two.
I knew that dropped out, and that's why I said handing back to you later on, because I was like, woo, need to re-energize.
Do you know what was really strange? We've done these before, and the stream has dropped out, and I've seen it. With this, everything was still moving, just nothing was happening. I at one point, I'm fairly sure I was just sat here talking to myself. So yeah.
I'll tell you what, you've got to turn it on and turn it back off. Turn it off and turn it back on again before you start the next show, Mark.
Yeah, you'd be amazed. I've done that 4 times today, but there you are. Right. I am going to call a halt in a second, but we're not done yet. As you well know, Peter, you and I are due back here again on Thursday, this time in the guise of the Construction Collective. I don't want to give away too much, but we've got some good content this time around, Peter, haven't we?
Yeah, you know what, Mark? Mark?
Hey, I answer to anything this time of night.
Mark, we've been out. We've been out and about. We've been out,
yeah.
Out, and we've got some cracking stuff. We've got some absolutely cracking stuff. And you know what? It's just great to see the industry still performing so well out there. And, you know, people really need to know about what's going on. And we've got some interesting things. I don't want to contaminate any more of the conversation, Mark. But that'll be a little slot. And
there may have been a clue in there.
And then we're going on, but we're exploring other different areas, not just all about machines, of course, this industry, Mark, is it? So, but it's the people, and it's getting some of the information out there that's much needed. So can't wait for Thursday. Our regular monthly show had to be slotted back because there's a small little event we went to, which we might be featuring in the show.
You never know. You never know. Right. That just about wraps things up. I'm going to play us out. I'm going to take both of us out the stream, but I've got a final film from the good folks at Bobcat just to play us out. So when that's over and done with, the show is over. You can go about your business. But Peter, been a pleasure as always. I'll take you out. I'll play the film, and I'll take me out as well. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Hi, it is my pleasure to present you the new generation of Bobcat construction telehandlers. The range consists of 10 models from 6 to 18 meters lift height and from 2.6 up to 4.3 tons lift capacity. Moreover, those new models are equipped with either 75 or 100 horsepower Bobcat engines. So, let's take a look at the new R-Series telehandlers from Bobcat, where precision meets toughness. This generation's most visible change has occurred in the cab. While developing the cab, we surveyed and spoke to a great number of Bobcat and non-Bobcat telehandler users to find out how to deliver the best customer experience. As a result, the new cab layout focuses on ease of use and operator confidence. Thanks to the automotive-style controls, you can master quickly the machine with ease. The new all-in-one joystick with improved ergonomics puts main functions such as travel direction, speed, and boom functions right at your fingers. To minimize hand movements, all controls are located exactly where you need them to be. Functions like the hydraulic lock are controlled by the left hand, so you can control the joystick at the same time. Most of the other controls are concentrated on the right-hand side console next to the joystick, which makes them easy to locate and reach at any time. Thanks to the 5-inch display, which is standard, you see all important information well organized in one place. When going in reverse, the rear view camera will automatically activate and show the view on the screen. giving you additional comfort and visibility. Obviously, telehandlers are often used to work at height, and that's where you'll really appreciate two main strengths of the new R-Series telehandlers: stability and precision for the best control at height. The machine has been designed with an incredibly low center of gravity with a heavy counterweight, which makes the telehandler stable by nature. Combined with the smooth hydrostatic transmission and improved joystick, you'll get even the most demanding jobs done faster with surgical precision. To save time, when placing a load at height, Bobcat's unique boom positioning system allows you to move the load to the side even when you're on stabilizers. Bobcat telehandlers are known for their robustness and damage protection, and this shielded design has been maintained in this new generation. Bobcat's unique rigid frame with box section design provide thorough protection to the inner components. All cylinders, as well as hydraulic and electrical components, are covered for maximum protection. And we've also kept the steel plate protection for the machine's bottom so you can fully focus on your job without any worries. On the right side of the machine, you see the new bold design of the engine's hood. This innovation was first introduced for the 75 horsepower machines, and it is now being used for the 100 horsepower machines as well. The new hood design not only looks good, but it also improves the operator's visibility to the right side by 15%. In addition to that, this new Stage 5 engine layout makes all maintenance points easy to locate and access. Regular maintenance has never been so easy and fast. And for even greater peace of mind, Bobcat offers 3 years warranty as standard, with the possibility to extend up to 5 years. Bobcat R-Series telehandlers are a great choice for all construction and rental applications in which ease of use and operator confidence are key. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the new range of Bobcat construction telehandlers.